Donald Trump is not doing so well in every regard, especially in his polls, and his poll numbers are so bad. He's trailing so far behind Joe Biden today that there are growing suspicions that maybe he might drop out. So this is based on a report done by Fox News. And I think that's relevant because you know how they do this like cute little game where they pretend like they're not all opinion and they have like a news division. Even so, their news division is reporting that his poll numbers are so bad that some donors and supporters are thinking, well, if they don't improve, maybe it makes sense for Trump to drop out and give someone else a shot. The report by Fox Business Network senior correspondent Charlie Gasparino, political reporter Andrew O'Reilly, and producer Lydia Moynihan comes as the former vice president leads the Republican incumbent by 9.2 points in the RealClearPolitics index of major polls. Fox News had done its own poll, and the number was actually higher, I think around 14%. So again, Trump is trailing significantly. The lead for Biden, by the way, was only 5.5 points right before the murder of George Floyd. So the way that Trump has handled civil unrest in the country, the way that he's handled or hasn't really handled the pandemic has certainly played a role in his numbers decreasing, his approval rating. Also, Gasparino reports that it's too early, but if polls continue to worsen, you can see a scenario where he drops out. One GOP operative who asked to remain anonymous told Fox News. That same operative also said, I've heard the talk, but I doubt it's true. My bet is he drops if he believes there's no way to win. And I do want to go to one quick cable news, Fox News segment on this, so you get a sense of how this discussion's going. Take a look.
Well, President Trump's poll numbers declining in recent weeks amid criticism of his administration's response to the coronavirus pandemic, which is leading some speculation that if his support keeps falling, the president might drop out of the race. Let's bring in Governor John Sununu, former White House chief of staff to President George H.W. Bush. Sir, if the polling is off, it's way off. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, there's no chance the president's going to drop out, so put that to the side. But there is no question that the president would like to be in better position in even those polls than he is today.
Look, I agree with, was it Sununu?
Yeah.
There's no way that Trump is going to drop out. First off, you have to believe that Trump is able to have some level of self-awareness. And he surrounded himself with a bunch of yes men, and he thinks he's perfect, right? Now, of course, he has deep-rooted insecurities. There's no question about that. But I don't believe for a second that Trump will drop out, even if he's trailing in national polling. Even if he's trailing in polling for swing states, which, by the way, as it stands today, he is.
Yeah, and I disagree with you on a couple of counts. And a walk-off home run for me is now on the table. Okay,
no.
So yes, I'm gonna explain it, okay? So first off, Trump is perfectly aware that the polls are accurate. And that's why he's already started making excuses. That's why part of the reason why he said about the mail-in ballots, it's going to be the biggest fraud in American history. Well, what if you win? Right? You wouldn't, if Trump had a 10-point lead, he wouldn't be talking about how the election is going to be the biggest scam in American history. And you remember the Freudian slip just a couple of days ago where he said, well, Biden's going to be your president. And so now, is he going to leave if he's down by 5? No, he's going to think I'm going to overcome it. And I did with Hillary Clinton, which is not exactly accurate. Certainly the president, that's accurate. But to give you a sense of how off the polling was in 2016, the polling had Hillary Clinton winning nationally by 3.2 points, if I remember correctly, and instead she won by 2.1. Now that's not how our system works. It works on electoral college. That's why Trump is president. But the polling nationally, RealClearPolitics average was only off by 1.1. It was not off by 5 or 10 or any of those things. Those polls are real, okay? So now, why would Trump leave? That's humiliating and embarrassing, and would allow me to win a bet with you, and that would be terrific, and it would prove me right, and his supporters would cry. But so why would he do that? Because he's a little baby, and if he thinks he's going to get annihilated, he wants to be able to pull the chute and then go, I didn't lose. Hey, Pence lost. Look, if it was me, I would have won. I would have won. Okay. And is there any sense in pulling him if you're the Republican Party now? If all I cared about was being a progressive, I wouldn't tell you this, but it's my job to analyze the news for you. If Trump pulls out, it'll be an epic disaster for the Republican Party. And then this leads to not only a home run for me if Trump leaves or doesn't run for office as I predicted it from the day one, but the second reason it'd be a home run is because the Republicans would lose 42 states, like I also predicted. 42 states is unthinkable, and people thought, Jake, you're absolutely mental. There's no way that's going to happen. But if Trump pulls out, and that's what I thought was going to happen, and Pence runs, all the Trump fans go home and they're super pissed, and a lot of them don't vote, and the Republicans will get totally wiped out. Now, so why would Trump do that? Because he doesn't care about the Republican Party. You think he gives a damn? No, he doesn't want to be personally embarrassed. Anna, I'm gonna put doubt even into your head. Remember,
it's not working. Not even close.
The thing that he is most afraid of is being humiliated and embarrassed. That's why when he walks down the stairs, he's like, I'm not gonna fall. No way. I'm not gonna get embarrassed like that. Remember the story about how he had this one friend who lost all his money, and when he came to the rich people parties, people wouldn't talk to him anymore. And Trump thought that was mortifying. You can't lose face. So these reports are not coming out of anywhere. Last thing on this, Gasparino, he's the senior correspondent for Fox Business Network. And he does news. No, let me be clear. He explains in one tweet how the GOP operatives are thinking about getting him to drop out. In the second tweet, he says, I'm not convinced yet. He's got time and he's running against an opponent who's literally hiding in his basement. Plus, the public isn't focusing yet just how left-wing Joe Biden has become, so much so he can't bring himself to denounce rioting. So Gasparino is on Trump's side. And Gasparino is not a straight news reporter. He's rooting for the Republicans. He's rooting for Trump. And even Gasparino is saying, it's true, the operatives are saying that maybe Trump should drop out and we're gonna get wiped out.
Why are you under the assumption that Trump sees dropping out as saving face when dropping out is deeply embarrassing? I mean, I just don't believe for a second that he's gonna drop out. I don't. I think that he has unearned confidence. I think that he thinks he can talk himself out of anything. I know that when he got elected, he played the same game where he thought he was gonna lose. Of course, he didn't drop out of the race. He kept going. And he started planting that seed of rigged election. And he's doing the exact same thing now. He's not gonna drop out. Look, I would love for him to drop out. I think that right now, luckily, I'm personally in a win-win situation if things continue the way that they are, right? And Biden continues to lead in the double digits. Trump will get voted out of office. I will win my bet against you. Awesome. The worst case scenario for me at this point is that I lose the bet to you and I still win because Trump dropped out and will not be reelected. But anyway, I'm just bringing this all up because I win no matter what. And secondly, I just don't believe that Trump will ever drop out. I don't think that he sees that as saving face. And I do think that he has that unearned confidence that makes him think that he can just talk himself out of any type of sticky situation.
Okay, so I have one more piece of evidence for you, but before I get to there, I want to let you guys know there is a poll. We're asking you guys. Obviously, it's a raging debate at TYT. Well, I care about what you guys think. So TYT.com/polls. /drop out. By the way, you could just do /polls and you'll see all of our polls. Do you think Trump will drop out of the race if he's losing badly enough? Yes, he would drop out if he's only losing badly. And no, there's no way bad polling would make him drop out. So yes or no, you'll see it there. Very curious what you guys think. But before you vote, why would Trump drop out? That's just as humiliating as losing. No, not in Trump's mind. You know why? I have one word for you: baby. He's a baby. And if you remember being in 3rd grade, people literally take their ball and go home. And that's who Trump is. And so to him, losing is definitive, and there's no way of arguing around it. I guarantee you, thinks that if he drops out, he'll get to say, no, I would have won. But you know what? I did the right thing, and I don't want this. And I'm a businessman. I got to run my business. Okay, a very important business to run. And then for the rest of the time, he can pretend that he was going to win. I know Trump. Look, I'm not guaranteeing that he's going to do it, but that's the way that he thinks. That's why I always thought it was possible / likely. And if you look, no responsible person would consider dropping out this late, right? But do you think he won't do it 2 months before the election? Do you think he won't do it 2 weeks before the election? The responsible part comes in if you care about the country, if you care about, more importantly in this case, the Republican Party from their perspective, because like I said, I think with 2 weeks or 2 months left to go, they'd be totally rudderless and it'd be a giant mess. But he doesn't care about any of those things. He's just a big fat baby, okay? So, but I will tell you this: if he drops out, you know the fireworks on the soundboard that we play in good moments? Hopefully we'll be back in the studio by then. I won't play that for like an hour straight.
All right, well, I'm gonna leave this story with probably my favorite part of Gasparino's reporting. Gasparino also reported that the one major player within the Republican Party who spoke to him for this story described Trump's current psyche as fragile.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Can I start the fireworks right now? His psyche's fragile. Are you okay, Donnie? Are you okay?
Good.
Times have been tough, haven't they? Oh, I know. I got a good idea, Donnie. Why don't you go and inspect the bunker again? When you sign up for a spend and save account at aspiration.com/TYT, we will plant 10 trees. Let's save the planet together.